what Kyle Schwarber's been doing lately. Good morning, Cha-Cha. Good morning, Unholy Toledo. I love leadoff hitters on the road, too, because they bat, 4 or 5 times a game. Love it. And Trey Turner was good to you last night. Trey Turner is going to be good to you going forward. I just think Trey Turner's in for a big, big season. And the Nats, well, we'll see, okay? And if I hadn't said already, Ezekiel, good morning. Give me some feedback on these players, guys. Here we're going to talk about Kyle Schwarber for just a moment. Fantasy-wise, reality-wise. Schwarber now, he's leading off. He's on the road. There you go, Unholy. And he swinging now at first pitches. Okay, I've noticed his change in approach. He's swinging more at first pitch strikes in the zone. And he only went 1 for 5 last night, but that one was that home run in the 3rd inning. Okay. On Sunday, he was 2 for 3. On Saturday, he was 2 for 4. Okay? So he's got an 8-game hitting streak going, during which he's hitting over 400 with 3 homers and 7 RBIs. So, I'm big on making adjustments during the season. How have you done in the last several games? Schwarber may have found it. Is he worth a flyer? Definitely. Is he worth more than that? We'll see. But he's in Colorado against right-handed pitchers, a rookie pitching today for Colorado. I'm really liking Kyle Schwarber not only this week, but also going forward. And another player that I'm liking, and this may be more short-term than long because of the injuries the Cubs are having, but I'm loving David Bote right now. Yeah, David Bote. Okay? You go back, was it last Wednesday, he went 4 for 4 with a double and home run. He knocked in 7 against the Rockies. Yeah, big day. It was a week ago. Well, not quite a week ago, 6 days ago. Then last night he goes 2 for 4 with a home run and an RBI. Bote's getting playing time right now because of injuries, but he's taking advantage of it. His slash line now is up to a 279 average. 8 home runs, 32 RBIs, 26 runs scored, playing every day. I really like David Bote this week, and depending on Addison Russell and his injuries, I may like him more going forward. He's been a great fill-in for the Cubs. He could be a great fill-in for you in fantasy. And another great fill-in, and here's a guy we have really written off for dead, coming from the same game last night, Ian Desmond. Yeah, Ian, you remember him. The former Washington Nationals shortstop, great. He was a 20 home run, 20 stolen base king in fantasy for the longest time, and then went to Texas, and now he's back with the Rockies, and oh boy, 3 or 4 weeks ago, he was just being cut on every roster, or at least being thought of being cut on every roster. What's he done for me lately? Well, he homered last night, okay, and preceding that, he'd gone 1 for 4 against the Mets over the weekend, 1 for 3 against the Mets over the weekend. On June 6th against the Cubs, he'd gone 2 for 4. Could he be heating up a little bit? Unholy Toledo says, Madden loves Bote, and with Zobrist gone, he'll get lots of action. I totally agree, Unholy, and that's why I'm trying to find players in fantasy. I've said this so many times. Everybody owns Mike Trout. Everybody owns Rizzo. Everybody owns Bryant. They're not available in fantasy, and most teams aren't going to trade those guys unless it's some blockbuster, blow-me-away kind of trade. But the David Botes of the world, they're the kind of players I'm looking for in fantasy. He's multi-positional, second base, third base, and most of all, guess what? That bat can hit. And so I'm looking at Bote. I'm looking at Adnam. Give me some thoughts. He's a guy I really like. I like Desmond. I think he's worth a flyer. What do you think? So outfield, first base eligible. You don't see many of those guys around. Let's look at the rest of that division. I was talking about the Central. The Brewers still in first place. They play at Houston. The Cubs are in Colorado again. St. Louis, 32-32, 5 games out. Don't count out the Cardinals ever. Okay? Ever. Yadi Molina's coming back this weekend. Yeah. So if Yadi Molina was cut in any league, there's a catcher who plays every day. And is there a tougher catcher in the major leagues than Yadi Molina? I don't think so. The Pirates are 30-35, 7.5 games out. Mitch Keller may be pitching tomorrow. Now, Mitch Keller is the 23rd rated prospect in all of baseball. And there's talk that the Pirates may call him up to make a start tomorrow. Now, the question I've got fantasy-wise, guys, is if he is called up, is that a spot start, or is that a start that if he pitches well, he could stay around in the rotation? I don't know. Lyles goes on the IL. They call up a reliever. It's probably just a fill-in until we get to tomorrow. We'll see. I've got my eye on that, and this guy can pitch. So keep your eye on that. Let me look. Mark Youngblood. Mark is saying he traded Soto for Jose Ramirez. You know, let's talk about Ramirez. I'm just going to stop. We're done. We're almost done with the standings. Let me finish the Central. The Pirates are 7.5 out, and the Reds are 8 games out. The thing about Jose Ramirez, I keep thinking the same thing. I keep thinking he's going to turn it around. He's going to turn it around. Then I watched him Sunday. And Yankee pitchers had him way out front on off-speed pitches. Way out front. He looked like he's guessing fastball every pitch. And if it's an off-speed pitch, he looks, so out of whack, so out of balance. You know, we used to teach Little League baseball players to stay in the door frame. And meaning, don't let your body get all out of whack in the batter's box. Ramirez is all over the place. Okay? I'd like to think he's going to get better. And Holy Toledo says it's logical to think he'll get better. I'm not so sure after watching him. And that's the thing. These players who are slumping, my suggestion is before you trade, watch them play. Not just one game. You know, anybody can go off one game. Watch them play 2 or 3 games in a row. This is a long season, folks. Watch them play against good pitching teams. Okay, now, the thing I do like about Ramirez is he's in a division where right now there's not a lot of great pitching. And when you get into the second half, and I'd like to see, go back, you know, there's discussion in chat rooms and on podcasts, even on this network, okay, where Jose Ramirez had a horrible start last year, then he had a pretty good couple of months, and then he tailed off. I'd like to know who he was playing in those few months where he had a good couple of months. You know, give me a couple of months where he's playing Kansas City. Give me a couple of months where he's playing Detroit. But you know, the White Sox pitching's better. Giolito's a different guy this year. We've talked about him on other shows. Giolito is an ace. He is now in the major leagues what his prospect calling was in the minor leagues. But if Ramirez is playing against bad pitching, he may become a good hitter. But I've watched him bat against good pitching, and he's been a bad hitter. Lenny, good morning. Good to have you back in the chat room. So, you know, Mark, if you've made the trade, you've made it. And we've talked about Jose Ramirez so many times. I don't want him on my team. He's too inconsistent. And, you know, I'm not playing fantasy. I'm in some leagues where I'm in first place. I'm playing fantasy not for necessarily the regular season. I'm playing for the playoffs. I'm playing for September. Look at your schedules going forward. Look at who these players will be facing off against in September before you make those trades. Okay? And finally, we go to the National League West, where the Dodgers, can I yawn one more time? That's becoming a yawner, that division. The Dodgers have a 10-game lead over Colorado, a 10-game lead over Arizona, and an 11.5-game lead over San Diego. Colorado, Arizona, San Diego, none of those teams have losing records, yet the Dodgers just continue to roll. Speaking of rolling, can we talk about the Tampa Bay Rays for a moment? Yeah. Telling you, back in first place in the American League East, all alone, after winning against Oakland at home yesterday 6-2. And I tell you, looking at their team, there's some players who had cooled off who have started hitting again. Okay? And one of those in particular is second baseman Brandon Lowe. Brandon Lowe started the year, the rookie, on fire, right? Well, let me tell you about Lowe and his last 4 games. Okay? And 3 of these were against Boston. Okay? He's had 17 at-bats and 8 hits. So he's 8 for 17 over his last 4 games. That's a .471 average. And in those 4 games, he's also hit 3 home runs. He's also driven in 7 runs. And he's also scored 4 runs. The Rays are hot, and so is Brandon Lowe. I play in some ESPN leagues, and I'm looking at Brandon Lowe right now, and in ESPN leagues, he is only owned in 41.9% of leagues. So he's available in more than half of the ESPN leagues if you play ESPN. I don't know what he is in Yahoo. I haven't checked, but you may want to check that. Now, I know he strikes out a lot, okay? But I also know he is a Rookie of the Year candidate. And his OPS in the month of June has jumped from 862 to 893. He's playing against left-handers now. Okay? And his 6th inning shot yesterday broke a scoreless tie, so he had the game-winning RBI yesterday. He's hot. He hit 2 homers off Eduardo Rodriguez for Boston on Sunday. So if Brandon Lowe is available in any league, he is worth taking and putting on your roster. The other thing I like about Lowe, the Rays will move him around the field. Right now he's second base eligible, but the Rays move him around the field. And so he may gain position eligibility at first base. He also may gain position eligibility in the outfield. I really like some Brandon Lowe right now. So if you can get him, do that. The Yankees didn't play yesterday, doubleheader today. They're a half a game behind the Rays. So the Rays are 41-24. The Yankees are 40-24. I like to look at run differential there on those two teams. There's a big disparity. Okay, only 2 teams in the American League have a run differential of over 100. Who are they? Who are the 2 teams in the American League with a run differential over 100? Well, one is the Minnesota Twins at a plus 112. And so they have a 43-21 record. What you're going to see is run differential of a big amount equates into. The second team with a run differential over 100 or more, or 100 or more, is Tampa Bay. Yes, Tampa Bay has even a better run differential this point in the season than Houston or the Yankees. They're at plus 100. The Yankees' run differential is only at plus 69. I think that's significant. I think going forward, don't forget Tampa Bay. They are a true, legit threat to win the American League East. They've got the pitching. They got the starting pitching. They got the returning Cy Young Award winner, Yanni Chirinos. Saturday against Boston, 8 shutout innings. Charlie Morton. Okay, Glass now coming back. He's now throwing at 90 feet. Coming back soon. And here's the secret weapon that not many people talk about, nor really know so much about. I'm going to let you in on it right now. So drop what you're doing. Get a piece of paper out. Write this name down. You ready? Brendan McKay. You may already know about him. Brendan McKay is pitching at Durham. I was listening to a podcast yesterday on another network. Won't mention the name. Don't want to give any. But it's a source that's very credible. And this source said Brendan McKay will be up soon for Tampa. He's pitching at Durham right now. Okay. His last outing, he only threw 65 pitches. And I've said this before. He's a two-way player. He's a John Olerud type. Okay? He may hit some for Tampa too. He hits bombs. But he's a great pitcher. He was a number 4 pick overall in the first round of the 2017 2017